Well, I'm sure many people out there have already heard the phrase, "The pen is mightier than the sword." You haven't heard of it? Well, I don't know who coined it, who came up with it. It really doesn't matter. It, it sure is, if you think about it, it's quite enlightening in a very broad way. The pen is mightier than the sword. It was actually coined, first used, I don't know, back in the late 1850s, so they didn't have the modern technologies available, like a microphone and a camera and radio and whatnot. So, but it still applies. Only now we have to apply it to not just written language, but also spoken language, and then tie that in with all the music that we listen to, all the TV that we watch, and all the news that we watch, how it's all basically under the control of, you know, the upper echelon of human civilization. But the foundation that, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword is still there, because people are so linguistically infiltrated, you know, that it's basically superimposed on their natural instincts and intellects, you know, and basically turning people into mindless drones, you know, a program, a blueprint, like a computer or a robot. And that's what a lot of people are basically turning into. So the whole Borg concept, you know, from Star Trek there's a lot of validity in the Star Trek Borg thing, you know. Is there anybody else who sees the correlation, you know, that the binding nature of language and what it does to people and what it's been doing to us for thousands of years, going way back to when we first started learning how to speak and eventually forming languages and whatnot, and all the ensuing bullshit that, you know, made up civilization, you know, governments, which is basically collective mind control, not to be confused with administration. They're two different things. But do you understand? I mean, people are really, it's like they're being programmed from an early age, you know, from when we first learn to speak as children, and we go up through school and maybe on into college and whatever, and it's the same thing. Our minds are just being infiltrated with sciences and linguistics and the controlled atmosphere, or, you know, it's, you know, our, you know, structured environment, artificially structured environment, and, you know, words, languages, regardless of language. I don't care if it's English, Spanish, French, Dutch, German, Russian, Chinese, whatever, Native American, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. It all does the same fucking thing. And so, I mean, does that register with anybody out there? Dumb question, but I really don't care to know the answer. I can see with my own eyes, and I can listen to things with my own ears, and, you know, use my own senses to interpret the things going on in, you know, the world and whatnot. So I'm just, in a way, I'm just curious if there's actually anybody who realizes the bullshit that they're in, you know, and how we've gotten this far, and how it's continually progressed into a cancer. All this human supremacy that we've been living under for thousands of years, that we are such intelligent creatures. And the truth is actually the opposite, because, I mean, look at what we've done, even just in the last few decades, you know. Never mind all the stuff you learn in history, you know, even though it's important, but just for this moment, just think about all the stuff you've been through in all your life, and how it correlates to things that have happened throughout history. And, you know, it's just a big clusterfuck of bullshit, you know. You can't single out any one race of people or culture or country or nation or whatever. It's a human thing, you know. It's not an American thing, it's not a Chinese thing, it's not a Russian thing, it's not a European thing or an African thing. It's a human thing, okay? And, you know, language is a technology that, you know, the entire human species really needs to come to terms with. Otherwise, we're fucked, you know. I do my best to live outside of the language, outside, you know. I don't live my life according to some plan or some blueprint. I just live, you know. And this whole system you people are propping up and applying all this patchwork to, you're just reruns of the same old bullshit that's been going on for millennia. So the pen is mightier than the sword, or in today's terms, the camera, the microphone, the internet, and whatnot. But, you know, it's the basis, you know, the foundation is still there, and it's always been there for thousands of years. It's just more invasive, more insidious, more destructive than ever before. And we have ourselves to thank for it, and our stupidity, you know. And talking about this human supremacy thing again, I mean, of all the species on this planet, we are the species that uses less of our intelligence than any other species. So cram that up your ass.